So, um, Denver just went into Houston and ended their winning streak.
Yeah.
Like, they just stopped it right in its tracks.
Yeah, for sure.
A 9-game winning streak for the Rockets, and then bam, the Nuggets just show up and beat them. And, on the surface, you might be like, oh, okay, big deal, right?
Yeah.
But, like, they did it without Jokic.
Yeah.
No Nikola Jokic, and they still won, so that's the kind of result that really makes you think.
Right. It's like, hold on, what's really going on here?
Yeah, exactly. And especially for anyone trying to understand, how the Western Conference is going to shake out for these playoffs,
Right.
like a puzzle piece that doesn't quite fit right.
Yeah, exactly. And it's interesting because we've been digging through all the analysis of the game itself,
Right.
but then also like all the narratives that have been forming around both of these teams.
Mm-hmm.
And so the question for us in this deep dive really becomes, okay, what does this win and this loss
Yeah.
really tell us about these two teams going forward and, specifically in the playoffs?
Mm-hmm. Right. And not just in a vacuum, right? We're not just talking about like
Right.
head-to-head who's better, but like what does this tell us about
Exactly.
each of these teams' trajectories and
Yes.
their potential?
Yes, absolutely. And the thing that I find so fascinating is how this one game
Yeah.
could really shift our understanding of both teams. Like so much of what we think we know about them hinges on the narratives that we build.
Yeah.
And this game has the potential to just completely turn those narratives on their heads.
Right. Okay, so let's start with the obvious winner here, the Nuggets.
Okay.
You go on the road, you beat a team that's on a 9-game winning streak,
Yeah.
and you do it without your best player, your MVP.
Yeah, that sends a message for sure.
It's like a statement, right? Like, we are here to compete.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the biggest takeaway from this game has to be Jamal Murray.
Oh, yeah.
The way he stepped up, 39 points shooting, 15 for 28 from the field,
Efficient.
7 assists.
Yeah.
Super efficient. Like he really took control of the game.
Yeah, and, I was looking at some of the discussions about, like, where he ranks all time for Denver guards.
Right.
And I feel like nights like this just cement his legacy.
Absolutely. He has to be in that conversation.
Yeah, and I was curious, like, going through all the analysis,
Yeah.
what stood out to you about Murray's performance specifically?
One thing that kept coming up over and over again was just his aggression.
Okay.
Like he wasn't just scoring, he was actively looking for a shot.
Yeah.
He was dictating the pace of the game. And it almost felt like, and a lot of the analysts were pointing this out, that without Jokic on the floor to draw so much attention,
Right.
he felt empowered
Yeah.
to be that primary scorer.
Yeah.
And that's huge.
Our playoffs.
Especially for the playoffs. If teams are able to figure out a way to shut down Jokic,
Yeah.
which is a tall order,
Right.
if Murray can consistently deliver this kind of scoring output,
Yeah.
it just completely changes how teams have to defend Denver.
Yeah, you can't just focus all your energy on Jokic.
Exactly. You can't just say, okay, we're going to throw double teams at him. We're going to force the ball out of his hands.
Right. You've got to respect
You've got to account for Murray.
Murray's ability to take over a game.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And, it wasn't just Murray who stepped up.
Right.
You had Michael Porter Jr. with a solid 17 points, 9 rebounds.
Yeah, he's doing his thing.
He's doing his thing.
Doing what he does.
But honestly, the real surprise
Yeah.
for me, and I think a lot of people, was DeAndre Jordan.
Oh, yeah.
11 points is good, but 15 rebounds.
Yeah.
Led the team in rebounds.
10 minutes.
And played a team-high 38 minutes.
That's crazy.
Who saw that coming?
That's not in anyone's bingo card.
No, not at all.
Before the season started.
And you look at the post-game commentary,
Yeah.
like everyone was talking about his energy,
Yeah.
his hustle, the way he was battling for every possession.
I saw the Instagram post too.
Oh, yeah, the one where he's like, my body hurts from dunking so much.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man. It's like he rediscovered his inner Lob City self.
Right. And it's like a reminder
Yeah.
that he can still contribute at a high level.
Absolutely. And I think for the Nuggets, that's a really encouraging sign.
Yeah.
It shows that they have depth, they have veterans who can step up
Right.
when needed.
Yeah, it's not just a 1 or 2 man show.
Exactly. And opposing teams are going to have to take notice.
It's interesting, though, because it kind of sparks this debate, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, some analysts are wondering if Jokic being out occasionally might actually benefit Jamal Murray.
Interesting. Yeah.
Like, does it force him into this more assertive scoring role?
It's a good question.
But then you look at the stats, and Murray's had huge scoring games with Jokic on the floor, too.
Right. So maybe it's less about Jokic being out
Right.
and more about Murray just consistently having that mindset of I'm going to be aggressive.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the key, right? Like the consistency.
Absolutely.
You can't just turn it on and off.
And especially in the playoffs.
Yeah. Yeah. You need that scoring punch every single night.
Yeah, one stat that really stood out to me was that the Nuggets are 10-1
Wow.
when Murray scores 30 or more points.
That's a pretty strong correlation.
Yeah, and suggests that maybe there needs to be a more conscious effort to get him going early in games.
Yeah.
It's like you can't just wait for Jokic to do his thing and then hope that Murray gets some open looks.
Yeah. Involve him from the get-go.
Exactly.
Okay, so just to put any worried Nuggets fans at ease,
Sure.
the reports are saying that Coach Malone expects Jokic back during this upcoming homestand.
Okay, good.
3 games at home. So it sounds like this was more about, testing their depth,
Right.
maybe giving Murray a chance to really shine.
Yeah, a little bit of load management.
Yeah, rather than any serious injury concern.
Makes sense.
All right, let's shift gears a bit and talk about the Rockets.
Okay.
They were on that 9-game winning streak coming into this matchup.
Yep.
Only to have it snapped by a Nuggets team without Jokic, and we should mention they were also without Jalen Green.
Right. Can't forget about that.
So how are people interpreting this loss for Houston?
Well, I think it's important to look at the context of that winning streak.
Okay.
A lot of analysts are pointing out that most of those wins came against teams with losing records.
Yeah, sub-.500 teams.
Exactly. And it's funny because this actually ties back to something Jokic himself said earlier this season.
Oh, really? What was that?
He was talking about how teams can sometimes trick themselves
Okay.
by racking up wins against weaker opponents.
I see. Yeah.
Like, they start thinking they're better than they actually are.
Right.
There's a
Right.
bit of irony
Yeah.
in the fact that the Rockets streak ended against a true contender like Denver,
Even without their MVP.
even without their MVP. Yeah.
Okay, so this loss kind of throws a wrench in the whole "the Rockets are here" narrative.
Yeah, it definitely pumps the brakes a little bit.
Right.
It raises the question of, were they really on the rise?
Yeah.
Or were they just beating the teams they were supposed to beat?
Right. And I think that's a fair question to ask.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, some analysts are saying, look, the Rockets are a young team,
They are.
still developing, and they argue that during that streak, they were building good habits,
Right.
learning how to close out games,
Yeah, getting that experience.
showing focus and maturity.
Those are all important things.
Yeah, even against weaker opponents.
Absolutely. I mean, for a young team, like, that consistency and building that winning mentality
Right.
is huge.
Right, so it's not just about who they were beating, but how they were winning.
Exactly.
Okay, so it's a mixed bag right now
Yeah, for sure.
for the Rockets.
And I think their upcoming schedule is really going to be telling.
Yeah.
They've got the Hawks, the Jazz, and the Suns all in a row.
Oof. It's a tough stretch.
It is, and I think we'll learn a lot about where they're really at based on how they respond to this loss against Denver.
Do they bounce back or do they crumble?
Exactly.
Okay, so that's the Denver-Houston game. Lots of interesting takeaways there.
Definitely.
But it also got us thinking about playoff matchups in general.
Oh, yeah. And the Western Conference is just so tight this year.
So many possibilities.
It feels like any team could beat any other team on any given night.
Yeah, and I think a good example of that is the Thunder and the Clippers.
Okay, what's going on there?
Well, get this. The Thunder actually swept the Clippers in their regular season series.
Wow. 4-0.
4-0, and in the game that we're looking at in the sources,
Yeah.
the Thunder won 103-101, and that was even with Jalen Williams and Chet Holmgren out for OKC.
So they were shorthanded.
Yeah, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander had 26 for the Thunder,
Okay.
and Kawhi Leonard had 25 for the Clippers.
All right, so what's the buzz about these two potentially meeting in the playoffs?
Well, there's this interesting chatter that's been going around,
Okay.
and some of the analysts are picking up on this, that some players around the league
Yeah.
might actually prefer a playoff matchup against the Thunder.
Really?
Yeah, and the thinking seems to be that the Thunder are young.
Yeah.
They don't have a lot of playoff experience. Right, compared to a veteran team like the Clippers.
Exactly.
So on paper,
Yeah.
you'd think the Clippers would have the advantage, but then you remember the Thunder swept them
Yeah, 4-0.
in the regular season.
It's hard to ignore that.
And that has to play a role.
Yeah, like psychologically,
Yeah.
even if you're the Clippers, you're thinking,
Yeah.
okay, we beat these guys 4 times already.
Does that give you confidence?
Does it? Or does it make you a little nervous?
Right. Like maybe they've got our number.
Exactly.
And that's what makes this whole thing so interesting.
Yeah.
It's not always about playing the team with the worst record
Right.
or the lowest seed.
It's about matchups.
Yeah.
It's about how your team plays against their team.
And the mental game.
Yeah, the psychological aspect is huge.
Yeah, teams want to feel like they have a good chance of winning.
Absolutely.
And if you've already beaten a team 4 times,
right,
even if it was in the regular season,
it gives you a certain level of confidence.
yeah, even if it's false confidence.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's about the matchups.
Yeah. And the Thunder, even though they have a great record overall,
Yeah.
they've struggled against certain teams
Oh, cool.
like Minnesota
Okay.
and Golden State.
Yeah.
They've lost to both of those teams multiple times.
So maybe a team would rather face the Thunder.
Yeah, even if the Thunder have a better record overall.
Yeah, if they think they match up well.
Exactly.
It's fascinating.
It is. And it brings up this bigger question of how much does regular season success really matter in the playoffs?
Yeah, good point.
There's this great example from a few years back.
Okay.
The Toronto Raptors swept the Washington Wizards in the regular season.
Okay.
4-0. Just like the Thunder and the Clippers.
Okay.
But then in the first round of the playoffs,
Yeah.
the Wizards swept the Raptors.
Wow, that's wild.
It just goes to show that playoff basketball,
It's a different beast.
it is. The intensity is different.
Oh,
The
yeah.
adjustments are different. And what happened in November might not mean anything in April.
So is it better to have film of success against a potential playoff opponent or film of failure?
That's a tough one.
Because you could argue both ways.
You could, yeah.
On the one hand, having those wins on film
Yeah,
can give you a psychological edge.
for sure.
You can say, hey, we've already beaten this team.
We know how to do it.
We have a blueprint.
Right.
But as the Raptors example shows,
Yeah.
it's not a guarantee.
It's not.
But-
And on the flip side, losing to a team
Yeah.
can be a motivator.
Right. You can learn from your mistakes.
You can make adjustments, but it can also mess with your head.
Yeah, if you've lost to them multiple times.
It can be tough to overcome that mentally.
Yeah, so it's a double-edged sword.
It is.
All right, going back to the Thunder Clippers matchup for a second.
Yeah, okay.
I know there was some discussion about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's shooting in that game.
Oh, yeah. He had a bit of an off night.
Yeah, 7 for 29 from the field.
Not as bad.
And some analysts are saying that this could be a concern in the playoffs.
Right, because the officiating tends to be a little tighter.
Yeah, they let him play more physically.
Exactly. So if he's not getting to the free throw line as easily,
Yeah, it could be a problem.
it could. But I think you also have to look at his overall efficiency for the season.
Okay,
He's shooting 52% from the field,
that's pretty good.
37% from three.
Okay.
And he's incredible at getting to the free throw line.
Yeah, he was 11 for 11 in that game.
Exactly. So even when his shot isn't falling,
Can still impact the game.
yeah, he can control the tempo,
Right.
get easy points at the line.
Yeah, he's got a lot of ways to score.
So while an off night is possible for anyone,
Yeah, nobody's perfect.
his overall skill set makes those shooting slumps less of a worry.
So to sum it all up, the Nuggets beating the Rockets without Jokic tells us they've got depth and that Murray is a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah.
The Rockets' streak ending raises some questions about their ability to compete at the highest level.
Makes you think.
And the Western Conference playoff picture is a complete toss-up,
Absolutely.
where matchups and past performance might mean more than overall records.
Especially with the intensity of playoff basketball.
Exactly. So here's a final thought for everyone listening.
Okay.
As we head into the playoffs and things start to get real,
Yeah.
what regular season results do you think are going to be the most misleading? Just
Interesting.
like, what narratives do we need to re-examine?
Right.
And what potential playoff matchups do you think are going to catch us all by surprise?
It's going to be fun to find out.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Buckle up, everyone. It's going to be a wild
You
ride.
can't wait.